Tuesday, presented by Progressive. To Champ Week, presented by Wendy's. Ed and Ray Schollmeyer Arena in Fort Worth, Texas, the site of tonight's showdown between the number 10 Mountaineers of West Virginia and the Horned Frogs of TCU. No conference in America has more top 25 teams than the Big 12, where the 10th ranked club is currently in 4th place. But Bob Huggins' squad has a chance to make up ground on all 3 teams currently ahead of them tonight. And good evening again, everybody, alongside former Army star and Duke assistant Chris Spatola. I'm Kevin Connors. We're about to see one of the most dangerous teams in college basketball tonight. West Virginia has won 4 of 5. And Chris, they may be more comfortable on the road than they are on their own home floor.
They've been really good on the road, in part, Kevin, because they've been so good offensively. They've been good offensively on the road. It's really a diverse offense. They can really get you at all 3 levels. Starts with Derek Culver on the interior. Miles McBride does a little bit of everything. And then Sean McNeil and Taz Sherman can knock it down from the perimeter. All 4 of these guys averaging more points in the last 4 games than they are on the season.
It's a West Virginia team that rallied from 19 points down on Saturday to beat Texas to extend its road win streak to 5 in a row. Second time they've rallied from 19 down to win a game this season. Your officials, Ron Groover, Roger Ayers, and Brooks Wells. We are underway from Fort Worth. Chris, what's the biggest challenge in defending this West Virginia team?
Well, it starts with that guy right there. And look, TCU has size with Kevin Samuel. But as West Virginia has done in their last 5 games, they go right into Derek Culver offensively to start the game.
TCU boasting one of the top backcourts in the Big 12. R.J. Nembhard and Mike Miles among the top 11 scorers in league play. Fuller gives it up to Nembhard, and the backdoor cut, and TCU is on the board.
TCU going to need Nembhard and Mike Miles to have a big night tonight.
Deuce McBride thought about it, then pulls up from 15, and a fast start for the Mountaineers. West Virginia team that comes in 15th in the net rankings, 16th in the KenPom. One of the elite teams in the Big 12 and a team clearly with Final Four aspirations here. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Nembhard, corner 3. Second effort by Nembhard, and he's got 4 points quickly.
And a really good cut. A really good cut. He was the guy who missed the initial shot, and a good find by Kevin Samuel. You know, Nembhard, not a knockdown shooter. He's got a bit of a funky release. Doesn't shoot a great percentage, but obviously wide open, a good look. Long rebound on a long shot, and a nice cut instead of running back on defense. Nembhard saw that Samuel possessed the ball, and again, a really nice cut to the basket to get 2 easy layups. 2 layups for R.J. Nembhard to start the game.
Here's McNeil. Good find to McBride, who missed the short one down low, but he was fouled on the attempt. A West Virginia team led by Bob Huggins in his 14th season now in Morgantown. West Virginia grad. 896 career wins. He's the 4th winningest active coach behind Mike Krzyzewski, Jim Boeheim, and Roy Williams.
Coach Huggins seemed delightful on the Zoom today, Kevin. I don't know what your impression was. Seemed like he was in a good mood.
Chris, I loved his comment when we said, hey, you know what? Obviously, the identity of West Virginia basketball in years past has been defense. This year, it's offense. He said, well, it's a good thing it's offense, right? Because we can't defend a lick.
I would say, I asked him, I said, how would you compare this team defensively to others you've had? He said, if it's not the worst, it's next to the worst.
So we didn't want to entirely bury them. Here's And a three by Nemhard. Kept alive by Culver. McBride had an inch. Three-pointer on the way by P.J. Fuller. It goes down, and the Horned Frogs take their first lead of the game.
We know Nemhard and we know Miles can score. In this game, with how well West Virginia is playing offensively, TCU needs somebody else to step up. P.J. Fuller to knock down shots, Chuck O'Bannon to knock down shots, Kevin Samuel to give them something.
Emmett Matthews misfires. Culver had a good look, and the Frogs have numbers. Good feed down low, and is muscled up and in by Jaden Ledee. Just underway here in Fort Worth. TCU, the early 9-5 lead. Culver goes to work, switches hands, and puts it in.
That's where I've seen the most improvement in his game. His ability to face up and then put it on the floor. He's always been able to, he's always wanted to do that, Kevin. But at times he's been a turnover waiting to happen. Much more comfortable with the ball in his hands.
As Miles misfires on the three, and will hit our first timeout. When we come back, a memorable night for TCU basketball. We'll explain why when we come back. The Horned Frogs recognizing Owen Asheris prior to and throughout the game. Actually recorded his first field goal against West Virginia. He was playing on the women's team as a practice player, obviously. When the women's coach, Reagan Pevley, told Jamie Dixon about him, he became a walk-on, earned a scholarship in spring of 2019. We'll have more on that coming up. TCU wearing a patch on its uniform this season. It reads, "Together on 3." It was started by Owen and his teammate Dylan Arnett last summer as a way to bring the TCU student body closer together. The two organized monthly discussions via Zoom with the topic of race and social injustice. And Chris, that's been a theme throughout this season here. A remarkable job by student athletes across all sports in college athletics and the awareness they've taken with social justice issues.
Well said, Kevin. And practice players on women's teams across the nation are ringing out like Lloyd Christmas. So you're telling us we got a chance to make the men's team.
Exactly.
Owen Asheris leading the way. What a pioneer.
A neat story, and the only senior being honored tonight by TCU, and a whistle and a foul, and they'll get it on Osaboyan. Chris, how about the fact that this TCU team under Jamie Dixon has been so good at sharing the basketball? But 2 games in a row, they've assisted just 6 times. They've got 4 to start this game, but that is clearly something that Dixon had to address with his team.
Well, it's not just that they have 12 assists in 2 games, it's that they have 29 turnovers. So in the last 2 games, you've got 12 assists and 29 turnovers. I don't care if you're playing a youth team or playing in the Big 12. It's hard to win games when you have that disparity, and that's been the big problem. This team has been low assists all year. Uncharacteristic, like you said, Kev, of Jamie Dixon's teams. The problem is they've been high turnover.
Well, Dixon talked about off the game on Saturday as McNeil knocks down the long 2. He said, you know what, he was disappointed with the way his team played. He disappointed with the rebounding effort. Ball movement wasn't good. Ball pressure of Kansas State bothered them. Kansas State team that snapped a 13-game losing streak in that win. Field goal off the mark by Ledee. Here's McBride straight on. There's just so many weapons offensively on this West Virginia team, and there's Taz Sherman to lay it in.
And when Osaboyan is out there for Culver, when Culver's not in the game, that block is unoccupied. There's nobody in the paint. And so they love that backdoor play with an unoccupied post.
Chris, how about the West Virginia defense? We've talked about it a little bit. I mean, as we move forward in this season, is that something that this Mountaineers team can improve the rest of the way?
They're going to need to. The problem, as I see it, Kevin, is they don't guard the ball as well as they have. And they don't have a Sags Kanate shot blocking type to erase mistakes. But I'll tell you, offensively, they are clicking. I mean, look at this. There's nobody underneath. Everybody is outside that three-point line. Gabe Osaboyan playing the center position. And they love that play, that backdoor cut with the post unoccupied. Look at the space. And it's such a contrast. You go from defending Derek Culver. We've got to defend him on the block, defend him at the foul line facing up. And then there's a lot more open space, free movement, and you've got shooters spaced around. This is by far Bob Huggins' best offensive team since that team in 2010 that went to a Final Four.
It's a Mountaineers team that's made at least 8 three-pointers in 9 of their last 13 games. They average better than 76 points per game. As Miles comes up short. In the open floor, Matthews has it knocked away, and it'll stay West Virginia basketball. Emhart takes a seat, leading scorer for TCU right now with 5 points. Here's Jordan McCabe firing, and it rims out. Miles goes to work, and a good-looking move by the outstanding freshman from Lancaster, Texas, Mike Miles.
He's had a fantastic season. What a freshman year for Mike Miles.
Chris, does he remind you of anyone?
You know, he reminds me. Funny you asked that, Kevin. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I don't think about much in my free time. He reminds me a little bit of Ben Gordon. He's not the same perimeter shooter, and frankly, Gordon wasn't as good getting to the basket. A little bit undersized, not really a point guard, a scoring guard.
Cash Sherman, a scoring guard, has it batted away, and here come the Frogs. 3 on the way for Terren Frank. They establish Culver down low, and he's hacked on his way up. The number 10 team in America on the road, a 1-point lead over TCU. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. An announcement from the league today. We learned that Thursday's game between West Virginia and Baylor has been canceled. The league wanted to avoid scheduling a team to play 3 games in consecutive weeks. They will play in Morgantown against the number 2 Bears on March 2nd. West Virginia will also host TCU and Oklahoma State that week. But Chris, whether intentional or not, that's got to be seen as advantage West Virginia and Baylor.
Yeah, I think it is. The fact that they don't have to play each other twice. And I think the most important part about it is West Virginia gets to go home after this game. Like, they don't need to be in Texas all week long. I mean, what are we doing? And I understand that's where we're at because games are canceled and all of that. But I think it's the right decision by the league. And certainly both those teams, West Virginia and Baylor, have proven enough at this point that you don't need to try to cram all that stuff in.
2-point Mountaineers lead as we approach the 11:30 mark of the first half. Miles doubled. And it'll be last touched by Emmett Matthews.
West Virginia off of ball screens, off of TCU ball screens, and they run a lot of them, wanted to really bottle up R.J. Nembhard and Mike Miles like they just did there. You know, they're gonna stay with a double there off of that ball screen, make those guys have to give it up and force some of these other guys to prove they can score.
As Nembhard dribbles it off his foot, and a turnover for TCU. Chris, 6 teams in the Big 12 currently ranked among the top 18 teams in America. I'm curious to get your take on how many have legitimate chances to reach the Final Four.
I would say 3 right now, those top 3. Obviously Baylor. I'm a believer in Oklahoma in their toughness. They've beaten West Virginia twice this year. And I like if West Virginia can figure it out on the defensive end, be it guarding the ball better, being it maybe they find some magic in that matchup zone they played in the second half against Texas. Those 3 teams can do it. I'm a little concerned with where Texas is at now. Kansas is better defensively, and we'll see more tonight, you know, how that goes for them. This league has gotten better, though, Kev. You look at the body of work over the course of this season, teams are significantly better in this league than they were at the beginning of the year.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. I think that maybe top to bottom, the Big Ten is the best league in college basketball. And again, you pointed this out before. That's not necessarily an argument we need to engage in, but certainly the Big 12 is right there and has as many teams that can win a championship, I think, as the Big Ten. There's O'Bannon from short distance. TCU just one of its last 8 from the field after starting a house of fire. 3 on the way for Taz Sherman, and he knocks it down.
You know, he missed the Texas Tech game with a groin injury. Sean McNeil was put into his place in that starting lineup and has been on fire since. Taz Sherman was playing great going into that Texas Tech game. Since coming back, it's been slow, but you can start to see it. The guy he was before that groin injury.
As Samuel puts it home. And Chris, to finish the point on Sherman, a JUCO kid, and we've talked about this, sometimes it takes a little longer for the junior college transfers.
It's a mindset, man. Like a lot of JUCO guys, when they're at their junior college, as Sherman bangs another one home, you know, they're only thinking about, I got to get my points. I got to get to the next level. Taz Sherman is now bought in to being a Mountaineer, and he has been dynamite this year. 5 of 20 in his last 2 games from the field. But as we know, before he missed that Texas Tech game, he can really light it up. A great skip pass there by Derek Culver over the top, and then here off the bounce, and that's where the shot has gone to the next level, Kev. Typically, those percentages go down for shooters when they put it on the floor, not for Taz Sherman.
Well, and Chris, as is the case across really all levels of basketball, West Virginia is not bashful about putting it up from anywhere behind the arc, as the Mountaineers have connected on 8 of their last 10. And a turnover again by TCU. Boy, this Mountaineers team, I mean, Chris, if they can do anything, it's they can shoot the lights out.
And we heard about it all offseason. I did the tournament in South Dakota to start the season that West Virginia was in, and every assistant coach, Bob Huggins, were telling us how well Taz Sherman and Sean McNeil shot it in the preseason. I think it took McNeil longer to get going than it did Sherman, but man, they are proving that those coaches are not liars.
Here's Samuel. It's been a quiet start for the TCU big man. Goes to the left hand, and Chris, he has that in his arsenal.
He does if you throw it to him. You know, sometimes they are so ball dominant with Miles and Nembhard that you forget you've got a 6'11", 250-pound Kevin Samuel on your roster. And here he's posting it against Gabe Osaboyan, who he's got about 3-4 inches on. Goes right to work, and as we know, when he gets it to that left hand, he is really tough.
Second in the Big 12 in rebounding. It's the 2nd year in a row he leads the conference in block shots. And Chris, I love the story about Kevin Samuel. He's from Barbuda. He grew up playing with a rim nailed to a mango tree in his home nation of Barbuda. 5 points, 5 rebounds in 7 minutes, but it speaks to the willingness to play any way, anyhow. Culver goes to work on Samuel. Nice looking athletic move by Derek Culver.
You play in the post, it's a fist fight to get open, and then it's a foot fight to score. Watch the feet here on Derek Culver. Unbelievable. Through traffic, through 2 defenders, Derek Culver, I love it.
Alan, thanks very much. And you take a look at Joe Lenardi's Big Ten projections. How about 10 teams right now, according to Joey Brackets, in the field? And Chris, the Michigan State schedule ahead, it has a chance to get even more ugly than it is right now. Or with games against Ohio State, Michigan twice, Maryland on the road, they have a chance to help their resume.
Oh, and that's the product of playing in a conference like that. You know, you get a real chance to help yourself almost every night you go out there.
Derek Culver in double figures for the Mountaineers. The 18th time this year. You see TCU already at the same number of assists as they've had in the previous 2 games individually, as Samuel is fouled on his way up. It sends the big fella Samuel to the line, who went over 200 career blocks Saturday. Only player in school history with that number. And a reminder, it's a huge Big Ten doubleheader coming your way Thursday on ESPN and the app. Number 3, Michigan hosting Luka Garza, and number 9, Iowa, 7 Eastern, followed by 4th-ranked Ohio State taking on Michigan State in East Lansing.
You know, Kevin, coming into this season, Michigan lost 3 of its top 6 scorers from last season. 2 of those guys, one was their heart and soul in Xavier Simpson, and the other, John Teske, was their leading rebounder and rim protector. It's the main reason they were picked 6th in the preseason in the Big Ten. This is no disrespect to Mark Few or Scott Drew, who both had loaded rosters coming back this year and have done a great job with them. But Juwan Howard is the National Coach of the Year. He's done a remarkable job. That team plays incredibly hard. They move the ball so well. They have a lot of different guys who can beat you. What a job Juwan Howard's done in taking over, by the way, for one of the greats to do it in John Beilein. I mean, just what an exceptional job by Juwan Howard. He's my National Coach of the Year.
And Chris, as our pal Paul Biancardi would be quick to point out, you know what? A lot of talent on this year's team, but they've got the #1 recruiting class coming in again next season. Offensive foul called on Deuce McBride. It's his 2nd. That Michigan-Ohio State game on Sunday was outstanding. Sort of maybe some foreshadowing to what we could see in the Big Ten championship game or beyond. Meantime, Chris, while we're speaking on the subject of conferences, about 3 ACC teams in the top 25, none of them in the top 10. It's been a bizarro season, to say the least.
The league's bad this year. You know, and look, that's not an opinion. That's fact. You know, if we were to argue that one way to measure, what a finish there by Culver. What a first half he's having. But Kev, to finish the point, if we were to argue that one way to measure the overall strength of a league goes to his right hand here, and again, there's that face up, Kevin. That's the ability he has really developed. Not just catching it on the block, but facing it up at that mid post. You know, with the ACC, you know, how many tournament-worthy teams exist in your league, and where are those teams seated? And the ACC for a while there was on the verge of being without a top 3 seed for the first time ever. Now it looks like Florida State, based on Lenardi's stuff today, is on that 3 line. But you know, it's been a down year for that ACC.
Well, there's no question, and it's obviously been a theme across college basketball with all the big-time programs that have been down. But the flip side of that coin is a league like the Big 12 having the enormous success that it has had. And again, 6 teams in the Big 12 ranked among the top 18 teams in college basketball. Seven-point Mountaineers lead. West Virginia coming off the 19-point comeback win against Texas over the weekend as Nembhard is fouled on his way to the bucket.
And that's where R.J. Nembhard, you take your scoring to even another level if he can get himself to the foul line. I think there are times he settles, in part because he's playing 35 minutes a game. But you go back to their game against Iowa State, a game they won. He took 13 free throws in that game. It was really aggressive driving the ball.
Two fouls each now on Osaboyan and McBride. McNeil thought about it. 10 on the shot clock. Culver has it taken away. Here come the Frogs in transition. All the way to the bucket. Left-handed finish goes down for Taron Todd. TCU hanging around against a West Virginia team, number 10 in the country, and playing so well on the road. McBride turns it over. 2-on-1. Acrobatic attempt by Todd. No. Second effort put home by Taryn Frank, and it's a 2-point game.
And a great defensive play on the other end by Frank. He rotated over, disrupted that play by West Virginia, and then he ran the floor and collected the garbage.
Culver can't hang on. Miles had it batted away at the rim. Matthews in transition. Off the glass, no. Back and forth we go in Fort Worth. Nembhard tries the three. And a whistle and a foul called on Ledee. It'll be his first. Well, Chris, strange things tend to happen in Fort Worth when these two teams get together.
Can you explain why? Is there some voodoo? I mean,
the West Virginia folks would tell you, contrary to what we've seen over the past month, that, look, the length of the road trip, right? You got to fly halfway across the country, although, again, they've flown in the face of that argument this season. But it's a TCU team. They were blown out of the building in Morgantown a year ago, but they won in overtime in the return trip, and they are playing the Mountaineers tough here through the first 15.5 minutes.
We asked Bob Huggins today about the psychology of this game. They're coming off a big win against Texas. They stayed in the state. They're playing a team here tonight that just lost to the worst team in the league in Kansas State. And then they were supposed to play Baylor on Thursday. So if there was any design of a trap game, this was it. The way this thing was set up. Now, obviously, the Baylor game is off now, but nonetheless, you still got to play here tonight.
Nembhard gives it up. Fuller, a three. The position by Culver, muscles it up and in, and Derek Culver's up to 15 points.
You said it, Kevin. They're not fighting Derek Culver. They're just laying behind him, allowing him to get whatever acreage and whatever space he wants.
Culver has 15, Sherman has 8. Pacing the Mountaineers. Here's Samuel down low. Good position for the big fella for TCU. Deuce McBride, the pull-up from 17. Here's Nembhard probing. Nembhard to the bucket. And the foul will be called on Matthews, his first. 15 points for Derek Culver. Half of the West Virginia offense. He's 6 for 8 from the field. Big reason why the Mountaineers lead it by 3. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Wendy's. Try the new jalapeno popper chicken and salad today at participating U.S. Wendy's. Chris, the butter burger?
Look, if of the two guys in studio right now, Jordan is definitely the one to talk about a butter burger and cheese curds. Dallin Cuff, if you're looking for a nice little salmon spring salad, then Dallin Cuff is your guy.
The North American consumption of salmon has gone down since the ESPN cafeteria has been on essential lockdown here. Allen good for at least 2 salmon fillets per meal. By the way, Chris, on a much more serious note, the big story in sports today, the single car crash early this morning involving Tiger Woods. Multiple leg injuries are being reported from his agent, and a report from the accident scene indicated the possibility of 2 broken legs. So obviously great concern and well wishes going out to one of the great golfers of all time, Tiger Woods.
I assume you saw the car, Kevin. It's incredible that he's alive. Thank God he is alive. And my heart goes out to his 2 children. I can't imagine what they're going through.
There's no question about it. Miles connects on a 3. He's up to 8 points, and this is back down to a 2-point lead again. Here's Sherman. No. Rebound inhaled by Samuel, and a chance for TCU to tie or take the lead. Horned Frogs haven't led since it was 10-9 at the 15-12 mark. Samuel on Osaboyan. Well, a reminder coming up over on ESPN at 9 Eastern, number 17, Kansas squares off against 14th ranked Texas in Austin. Longhorns handed the Jayhawks a 25-point defeat in the Fog on January 2nd. Largest home loss for Kansas in the Bill Self era. Chris, it's a Kansas team that's playing much better of late. The schedule has been their friend. Are you buying or selling Kansas?
I am. And, you know, a lot of folks talking about David McCormick's performance and how much better he's playing, which has been big. It's their defense, Kevin. In the last 5 games, they're holding teams to 0.8 points per possession, as well as they've defended all year. If they can keep on that trend line, absolutely buying Kansas.
The Texas team, of course, coming off the difficult loss to West Virginia, in which they blew a 19-point lead. Trailed 62-43, did West Virginia with 18 minutes to go. Texas shot it so well through the first 25 minutes of the game, but then Mountaineers came back. And Chris, that's one of the reasons why they're so dangerous. They can score in bunches.
You know how astounding it is to come back down 19 and win 2 games against Big 12 opponents? That's incredible.
As Bridges connects, and Chris, you made the point that earlier this year, back in January, first meeting West Virginia had with Oklahoma, they nearly came back from 18 points down at the half of that game. This is Miles with 10 on the shot clock. Has it taken away. Mountaineers can hold for one. And the use it or lose it timeout taken by Bob Huggins.
And he goes to Culver here. Puts him into the game. A little offense, defense like they've been doing. You imagine they're going to try to get it to him, maybe have him set a high screen and then roll to the basket. What a dominant first half he's had. And, you know, Kevin Samuel's got to fight him more. You're allowing him to catch it. You're laying behind him, and at times he's got very deep position. And then once he got it going, then you start feeling it. And this is a guy who offensively is feeling it. Over the last 4 games, he has gone to another level. What a force.
What Bob Huggins has told us on multiple occasions this season, he said, I honestly don't know where we'd be without Derek Culver. The story is well told in Morgantown that this team has significantly gotten better since Oscar Tshiebwe left the team. I don't think that's speaking out of school. It's opened things up much more for Culver, and he has taken advantage. He's dominated this first 20 minutes of basketball. McBride going to work, 5 to shoot, pull-up jumper by Deuce McBride. It rattles out, and the heave by Miles is off the mark. 15 points on 6 of 8 shooting through the first 20 minutes for Derek Culver. And Bob Huggins' team will take a 37-31 lead into the break. Back to the studio we go. Dallin Cuff, Jordan Cornette, take it away. It's Road to Champ Week, presented by Wendy's. 37-31, your halftime score. As we welcome you back, Kevin Connors, Chris Spatola, entertaining first 20 minutes of basketball. Chris, and Mountaineers, they continue on their attempt to win a Texas State championship here. This road trip has been something else, but they've been playing so well on the road, and Derek Culver has been the story of this first half.
He has. He's been a monster in their last 4 games, and the trend continues here in this game tonight. You know, neither team shot it real well, did most of their damage at the basket. None more than this guy right here, and he's done it in a number of ways. He's posted on the block. He's faced up there at that foul line. He's caught it in the mid-post. He just looks quicker. Like, he just looks faster than these opposing bigs, be it Kevin Samuel, be it Jaden Ledee. He looks faster than those guys, has had a nice first step. He's put it on the floor. They have to figure out how to handle Derek Culver in this second half.
15 points in 14 minutes. Taz Sherman has been on it. Shot it well in the first half. McNeil and McBride have yet to get going. And maybe bad news for TCU, who, Chris, I think Jamie Dixon goes to the locker room and saying, for the most part, he's got to be pretty pleased with the way his team played.
Yeah, you know, again, they didn't shoot it well from 3, but it's not what they do. They shot a good percentage at the basket. If you can limit Culver more here in this second half and keep West Virginia off the foul line, you're right in this thing, like you said.
As they try to establish Samuel down low, last touched by the Mountaineers. You see the 2-point shooting has been successful for TCU. They haven't shot it well from behind the arc, and Chris, playing through Samuel would seem to be the key here in the second half. Yeah.
And putting him on the block. You know, he runs and sets a lot of ball screens. Here he is again. He moves all over the floor in the half court in their offensive end. You got to conserve some of that energy, though. He's battling Culver all night.
Culver hands it off. McBride trying to get going to open the second half, and he does.
Look at that little body nudge he used on Samuel to create that space. Such a crafty scorer.
Reigning Big 12 Player of the Week, 3rd time he's gotten the honor this season. Top scorer on West Virginia. He had a tremendous second half earlier this month against Texas Tech. Open look for McNeil, and what a start right out of the gates by West Virginia. Culver's up to a double-double. The Mountaineers lead is double digits at 11.
first half, started the scoring here. They love this X action off the high post. McBride gets the handoff, a little nudge, and a good floater off the top with the kiss. And then Skip Prosser used to call these punt-em threes. You're so open, you could punt it in, Kevin Connors. Sean McNeil, as good as he's been in the last 3 games, he's been exceptional in the second halves of games. Was great in the second half against Oklahoma in that double overtime loss. It was great the other day against Texas, especially in the second half.
Punt-em threes, I like that.
Absolutely.
And McNeil up to 49 made threes on the season. West Virginia, 13 of their 17 field goals have been assisted on. And I enjoyed our chat as McNeil takes it the other way off the turnover, pulls up, misfires on the 3. What did Bob Huggins tell us? You know what? Of Sean McBride, this is what we had hoped and expected when we recruited him and brought him here. He's a great shot maker, and he has really had a fantastic month.
Well, the thing he added about McNeil, he said he's world's better defensively. The issue early in the year was staying in front of the ball. He wasn't great in their defense. Look, he's not going to be confused for Gary Payton, but he has gotten much better on that end. And when you can shoot it like this, nobody needs you to be Gary Payton. 21 points a game, 59%. Or 57% from 3. And again, a lot of that work, Kevin, in the second half.
They pound it down low to Bridges, who gets the jump hook to go, and West Virginia has stormed out of the gates here. A 7-0 advantage, and they've opened up their largest lead here in the second half. Miles has been quiet. Nembhard tries to go to work. Strong move. And Nembhard's up to 9 points.
Really strong move. Tough finish, and he probably got fouled.
First points for TCU out of the locker room. They trailed by 6 at the break. The lead is up to 11. Here's Deuce McBride. Culver. Nembhard fires a 3 and connects.
I was about to call that a settle. You know, he had just hit the drive on the last possession. You'd love to see him do that again. But what a stroke there.
Nembhard into double figures. And he's pulled the Horned Frogs back to within 8. Culver loses the handle. Good defense that time by Miles. They try to pound it into Samuel. Nice play by Culver on an ill-advised pass. Look at the big fella run the floor. But he's called for a travel. Chris, Nembhard has been the key for TCU.
Well, he's been the key all year, Kevin. He really has. Here's this drive, and it's just a physical drive. Going right into the body of Miles McBride. And then this was the one. You'd love to see him drive it again, but hey, if you feel it, pull it. And he hasn't, you know, Kev, you start to wonder if he and Miles are starting to wear down a little bit. You know, they're playing about 35 minutes a game. Their usage is so high. They have a lot on their shoulders. They haven't shot it well over the last few games, but Nembhard trying to go to work here.
Nembhard up to double figures now in 18 consecutive games, but some work to do for the Horned Frogs, down 8. Well, the Big 12 now on ESPN Plus is a must-have for Big 12 sports fans. On Wednesday, the Mountaineers head to Ames to take on Iowa State. On the baseball side of things, check out Frog Ball, TCU's weekly all-access show. And then on March 11th through 13th, you can catch the early rounds of the Big 12 women's basketball tournament. Sign up today at espnplus.com/Big12now. And right now, Chris, over on ESPN Plus Big 12, Baylor returning to action and trailing Iowa State 18-8.
Man. That's a long layoff, especially if it's your second one.
As Nembhard connects on the first. Chris, could there be any benefit to Baylor knowing what's ahead here? Certainly next week, leading into conference tournament time and the NCAA tournament, could there be any benefit to this extended period of time off?
I don't know if there's an overall benefit. I think the schedule they have coming back, we would look at it and say, man, that's brutal. I think that's the best case scenario for them. You want to get a bunch of games in here before you get to tournament playing. The benefit they have, Kevin, Baylor's best players are guards, and they're old guards. And this team, they were so laser focused and have been all season long that you trust a team like that in a layoff of 3 weeks. So I think they'll be fine, but obviously that score, a little bit of rust they're shaking off here early.
Down by 12 now over on Big 12 ESPN+. It's been such a terrific season for Baylor, but again, the unpredictability of COVID, as you see the tremendous fan section here at TCU trying to get involved in this game. Multiple stops this year for Baylor. And Chris, on the flip side of that, a team like Kansas, who has gone virtually uninterrupted here in this season, they're going to finish their schedule before this week in between the conference tournament and the end of the regular season that the Big 12 has added for teams to get games in.
Yeah. It was really smart in the league to do that, knowing that this was going to happen, to be able to squeeze all these games in.
Open drive to the bucket by Chuck O'Bannon, his first 2 points of the game. Culver catches in transition, and a whistle and a foul called on Jaden Ledee.
That last drive there by TCU. Take a look at the Big 12 standings here. Again, I think Baylor, Oklahoma, West Virginia, those are tournament Final Four caliber teams. We still got more to see from the Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma States of the world.
An Oklahoma team who swept the season series from West Virginia. Baseline jumper goes down for Taz Sherman. He's up to 14 points. Todd goes to work in the lane. And a whistle and a foul will send Taryn Todd to the free throw line. Redshirt freshman out of Ontario, Canada. And Chris, that's one of the themes with this TCU team. No excuses by Jamie Dixon, but it is one of the youngest teams in the country. And in speaking with Jamie Dixon yesterday, he said, look, it's been unique with COVID. Practicing has been tough. We've oftentimes had 3-4 guys practicing in multiple gyms. It's just sort of added to the difficulty of this season.
Yeah. Well, that's where some of the numbers we've talked about tonight, it's been a high turnover team. It's been a low assist team. A lot of that's a product of just not being able to practice, to play together, to have that continuity. And look, everybody's dealing with it. Some teams have dealt with it more than others, and TCU would be in that category of dealing with it more than some others have.
I was stunned when Jamie Dixon said that since August, his team has had 7 shutdowns. And again, he hasn't been using it as an excuse. Everyone's dealing with it. You factor in the weather that they've had in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So many parts of the Southwest have been affected by that. It has been one difficult season. In the paint, McBride had it blocked. Culver fighting for it on his way up. He'll work his way to the free throw line. And Derek Culver, Chris, continues to sparkle.
And it starts with his effort. I mean, he's having a heck of a night. Look at him fighting in here. And then his physical attributes take over, but it starts with his effort. I mean, when you're 6'10", 255 pounds, you're going to carve out a lot of space just by being there. But when you play hard, then you start making plays outside of your area. And that's what Derek Culver is so good at. He goes outside of his area to make a play.
Only Big 12 player since the league expanded in 2012 to average 14+ and 10+ rebounds per game. Other than Dedrick Lawson at Kansas, he's one of 3 major conference players averaging a double-double on the year. The junior out of Youngstown, Ohio, has been magnificent and again gives this team that inside threat to the outside game they possess with shooters. One of the reasons why a lot of folks think this is a team that could make a significant run in the NCAA tournament. Eight-point West Virginia lead as we come up on 14 minutes to go here in the second half. Here's a 3 by Chuck O'Bannon, and he connects. Second field goal here in the second half for the former 5-star recruit out of Bishop Gorman High School. Sherman now hacked on his way to the basket, and Sherman getting into it face-to-face with Taryn Todd.
Here's Chuck O'Bannon's last bucket, and this is what he does. He's a specialist. Began the year coming off the bench. He's now in the starting lineup primarily because he can do that.
They called a technical foul, and I believe it may have been on Todd, although you take a look again and you'll see Sherman and Todd come nearly nose to nose. And it was on
It had to have been on both though, Kev, don't you think? I mean, yeah, I mean, how does Taz Sherman not get one there if he did?
That's a good call by you, Chris. The officials signaling it is a double technical.
You know, plays like this really bother me. Like, just walk away. A technical foul for Taz Sherman and his team in particular right now, because they're up by 5. It's a bad decision. Gives you a personal foul, gives your team a team foul. You're not going to fight the guy. You know, we all know you're fake posturing. Those things really bother me.
And Chris, even more damaging because it's the 4th personal foul called on Taryn Todd. As Sherman connects on the first. Bob Huggins elegantly pleading his case on the West Virginia sidelines. Sherman connects on both. He's up to 14. Culver has 16. The lead is back to 7. McBride bats it away, and a turnover. Mountaineers in transition. Sherman, good-looking move, and he'll head to the free throw line again.
You know, that possession down on the other end, Kevin Samuel was standing there. He had position. And it may have been O'Bannon. Whoever had the ball at the top of the key was staring him down, had no interest in finding an angle to throw it to him. I mean, that's where not only do you throw it to him, he's a willing passer out of there, but it puts a little bit of pressure on Derek Culver. I mean, look at this. He's right here. He's going to put his arm up, and he's going to stand there like a statue. He's open. Let's get him the ball. And that's where if you're Kevin Samuel, you've got to demand that thing. You go up to those guards, you grab them by the shirt and say, throw me the basketball.
Well, especially as an upperclassman, right? Samuel, the redshirt junior on this young basketball team. And TCU has had success when they've played through him in this game. As they try right here, whistle on a foul before the shot And it'll be on Culver, and that is the first personal called on Derek Culver.
And there's an example. You throw it to him, and you pick up a foul. And he might give you something. Again, that's where he's most effective. I mean, they have him out there running around, setting ball screens. He's a big body, a veteran player who can give you something if you give him the ball on the block.
Double team on Nembhard. He's in trouble. 5 on the shot clock. Miles, a long 3. Here's McBride, and a little bit of a body that time on Miles. It'll be his first personal.
You know, I brought up Nembhard and Miles hitting maybe a wall here. Miles, obviously a freshman. He's had a great year. He's going to be on the All-Big 12 freshman team. He has not been great in their last 2 games. He's 0 of 9 from 3, 7 of 26 from the field. His shooting numbers are down. You know, you just can sense maybe there's that freshman wall that's starting to confront Mike Miles a little bit.
Freshman out of Lancaster, Texas, USA Today Boys Basketball Player of the Year in the Dallas area in 2020. A great get for Jamie Dixon at TCU. And Chris, I feel like this is the time where we make the obligatory AAU teammate of Cade Cunningham reference, right?
Cade, Greg Brown was on that AAU team, and Rondell Walker, also of Oklahoma State. All those guys on the same AAU team.
Incredible. And how about the win last night by Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Beating Texas Tech. Samuel at the rim, can't finish. Sherman has had the hot hand, the willing trigger, and Sherman hits again. He's up to 18 points. Culver, a little takedown, 2-point takedown that time of Samuel. And there again, Chris, a chance where when TCU goes inside, good things happen.
There's no doubt about it. Throw him the ball. And West Virginia loves this dribble handoff early. It stresses the defense. Sherman gathers it, and he is wet.
Well done, Dallin. I like it. Boy, Chris, a 14-point Iowa State lead on undefeated number 2 Baylor. Road teams have had success.
They have. I mean, look at that number right there. Over 500 road teams in conference. And as we know, Kevin, Baylor is a team, they don't run a whole lot of stuff offensively. A lot of improvisation, a lot of feel rhythm stuff. So first game back, the guys were mentioning it there, the number of turnovers just don't have the feel early in that game.
I've joked with Sean Farnham at times that Iowa State is the best 2-16 team in the country. I think they're the only 2-16 team in the country. There is talent there. But Chris, what about the crowd that would say of Baylor, undefeated, you want to get that first loss out of the way before you start to make a tournament run? Where do you sit on that side of the argument?
I sit on the side of winning. Anybody who says that the pursuit of not losing, the pursuit of being undefeated is somehow a psychological disadvantage has never played competitive sports. Why would you ever, now not that you would go out and intentionally lose a game, but why would you even posit that argument that losing is better for you? I don't buy it.
I happen to agree. There are some who say you don't want the added pressure, but I happen to agree.
You don't have to agree. If you don't agree, Kevin, don't say you agree.
No, listen, the point of playing a competitive sport where they keep track of time and score is to win the game. I don't understand why you'd ever want to lose. Here's Sherman, a 3, buries it, and the lead is up to 15.
The Shermanator going into hyperdrive. All systems go. Taz Sherman. He is really feeling it. You know, again, he missed that Texas Tech game. He's 5 of 20 since coming back from that game. And he was playing so well. I mean, he had 25 points in their win against Kansas. Started to take more shots, become a much bigger part of this offense. And you can see it in this game, even half to half. He is starting to get his legs back under him.
Chris, he's got 14 points in 5 minutes of action here in the second half. The lead is up to 16, largest of the game, and West Virginia threatening to blow this one open.
Is he laughing? Coach Hugg's laughing.
I get the sense he didn't agree with the call. It's the foul on Osaboyan, number 3, on the West Virginia big man. Nembhard tries a 3, and boy, did TCU need that.
Yes, they did.
Nembhard's up to 17. The lead is 13. Sherman trying again. Well, coming up over on ESPN at 9 Eastern, number 17 Kansas squares off against number 14 Texas in Austin. Longhorns handed the Jayhawks a 25-point defeat in the Fog back on January 2nd. Largest home loss under Bill Self at Kansas. You'll see the rematch, 9 Eastern, ESPN, and streaming on the ESPN app tonight. Baylor currently losing to Iowa State. Texas, Kansas still to come. West Virginia, 13-point lead on TCU. Long 3 by Fuller. And it's back to a 10-point game.
That 3 ball coming up big for TCU.
Frogs have made 7 of their last 9. Lead was stretched to 16 just 2 minutes ago. It's back down to 10. Sherman steps back. And now numbers for the Frogs. Fuller gives it up. Easley fouled on his way to the rim, and Kevin Easley will head to the line to shoot a pair.
It's amazing what making shots will do. You feel like a greater sense of urgency on their defensive end. Rotations are sharper, they're quicker. You get a couple shots to go down, you close this thing to 10, and there's a lot more energy with this TCU team.
Third foul on Sherman as Easley sees the first one rattle out. Chattanooga transfer, SoCon Freshman of the Year in 2019, as Sherman makes his way to the bench. He's had his moments this year as Kevin Easley. And he goes 1 of 2 to trim the lead back down to single digits.
I'd like to see Derek Culver get back involved here. Get him a touch, calm things down.
They pound it inside to Culver. And a whistle and a foul called on Samuel. It'll be number 2. Chris, what a luxury to be able to pound it inside to a capable scorer like Culver.
There's a calming effect. It's a paint touch, chance to get to the foul line. And obviously he's been very efficient down there. It's just, there's a calming effect, and when things get a little haywire, it's always good to just give him a touch, throw that ball back down to him.
TCU in the double bonus now, so 2 free throws for Culver. Culver with sort of a shot put stroke, and he knocks it down. 17 points, 13 rebounds for Derek Culver, 22 for Taz Sherman leading the way, and it's back to a 10-point game. You
know, Jordan McCabe does a nice job. I mean, he's not going to wow you. Not a great athlete. Undersized, obviously. But he always seems to be in the right spot. And what a play that was. You know, just to get his hand in there.
Nemhard, the high man, with 17. Samuel in double figures with 10. Good hands again by Derek Culver, but it'll stay TCU ball. The Chris 7 on the shot clock here. Where do the Frogs go?
See if you can get one of these guards running off. Here's Nemhard, high ball screen.
Nemhard pull up straight on three is off the mark into the arms of McCabe. Quiet night so far for Deuce McBride and Sean McNeil. But Culver and Sherman have carried the load. Miles splits the double team. Mike Miles all the way to the rim, and it's back down to an 8-point game.
Ooh, Mike Miles.
The Mountaineers have led by 16, but they can't seem to put this one away as McCabe goes off the window for his first 2 points. Miles to a cutting Nemhard, who couldn't hold on.
How about this play for Mike Miles on the last possession, though? Coming off a ball screen, West Virginia tries to jump it. Miles hits him with the hezzy, tween, skip through, bye-bye. Mike Miles and Bob Huggins not happy with the defensive effort from his team.
All right, DC, thanks. And how about Jared Butler, just 3 points. Maceo Teague, only 2. Davion Mitchell and Adam Flagler doing the scoring, but Baylor down 7 to 2-win Iowa State. 10-point game here in Fort Worth. West Virginia's largest lead has been 16. Here's McNeil, pull-up jumper, and a good-looking move by Sean McNeil.
He's not just a shooter, Kevin. He's really putting it on the floor and driving it, and he's a lot stronger than you think. You know, he's a good 210 pounds.
Terran Frank gets it right back, the freshman out of Los Angeles. TCU shooting 64% from the field here in the second half. And a cheap one called on Jaden Ledee. And again, the importance of that foul is the West Virginia's in the double bonus.
That's where Sean McNeil, they're going to run him off 2 screens. Bob Huggins caught a lot more stuff for him to get him shots. And this is where he's such a good shooter that you have to close out hard off of that. You know, the scouting report says any crossing action, you got to jump it with McNeil. And he carries it off the dribble and a really good floater.
The one area of Culver's game that could use some improving is from the free throw line. He's 5 of 12 now from the line in this game, 17 points, 13 rebounds, but an empty opportunity for West Virginia and a chance for TCU to carve into that lead again. Eight on the shot clock. Nemhard, baseline drive, goes to the left hand. Kept alive by Samuel. Jamie Dixon wanted a foul called on the Frank attempt. I think he might have had a case. Nothing from the officials. And they'll call a hold on Samuel as Culver tried to get possession. Well, that is number 3 on Samuel. And the unintentional hack of Culver continues.
Well, and you know, you mentioned his poor free throw shooting pretty overtly by calling him hack of Culver. That said, Kevin, that is the problem, though. Even though he doesn't make free throws, he puts your team in foul trouble. You know, this West Virginia team over the last 3 games, they're shooting 32 free throws a game. And a big side effect of that, if you're the opponent, is you then start collecting fouls on your guys.
Well, and if Jamie Dixon's going to make an argument, it's, hey, Derek Culver's attempted 14 free throws. We've attempted 15 as a team. Miles nearly lost the handle. Nembhard. 3 on the way for Todd, and it rattles home. Todd with more than double his, or nearly double his season average, and we're back down to an 8-point game.
They needed some other guys to make shots here tonight, especially because Mike Miles not having a great night scoring. Terran Todd, not only is he scoring the basketball, he's calling for it. A really good fine cross court. And Todd, the lefty, steps in. He got those puppies organized, Kevin.
He did indeed. And you know what? TCU shooting it much better from behind the arc here in the second half. 5 of 8 from 3-point range. And Chris, West Virginia, they've extended this lead to double digits multiple times, but they can't seem to put TCU away.
I was saying to you during the last break, you just can't, West Virginia can't get its separation. You know, a tough effort, and again, the 3 ball has really been huge for a team that doesn't shoot it well in a year. TCU has really stepped behind the line and really hit it over the last 5 to 7 minutes here.
Chris, we came into this game talking about how prolific West Virginia is offensively, that defensively, that might be where there are some deficiencies. What have you seen from them defensively in this game?
Yeah, it's guarding the ball, staying in front of the ball. The ball screens have been a bit of an issue. And then, you know, finding shooters. When West Virginia gets in rotation, they've had a hard time running guys off the line.
Missed opportunity for Culver, and a big-time rebound for Samuel. Nembhard in transition. Would have cut the lead down to 5. Instead, it stays 8.
And that's that balance J.B. Dixon plays with R.J. Nembhard. You got to live with some shots like that to keep him aggressive.
Five on the shot clock. Here's McNeil. Loses the handle on the way up. And it'll stay West Virginia ball. Well, a reminder, it's showtime, the NBA on ESPN. How about Spida Mitchell coming your way Wednesday, 10 Eastern. Dame time, Friday, 10 Eastern on ESPN. And then Steph Curry Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. You got LeBron and the Lakers against the Jazz on Wednesday. Some great NBA action coming your way. Culver tries to track it down. Stepped on the end line, and it'll be TCU basketball.
Do you hear LeBron James talking? I saw it this morning on SportsCenter, talking about, or asking the media, stop asking me about rest. I'm playing. I come here to punch my clock. I come here to play. Stop asking me about it. I never talk about it. I rest after games, in between games. I do not rest during games. It was great.
In what, his 18th year, as Samuel had it taken away again. Jamie Dixon wanted a foul called. They finish the point. LeBron enjoying another MVP caliber season here in year 18. Here's Sherman behind a screen. Pull up for Taz Sherman. One of the few that haven't gone down. Second effort by McBride. And Osaboyan keeps it alive. Gabe Osaboyan will head to the free throw line when we come back.
Now, Chris, go.
Alan, thanks so much. Boy, Chris, how about Kansas on the ropes, knocked out of the top 25 for the first time in forever this season. 30 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament. Duke, Michigan State, among those teams that I think it's fair to say are on the bubble. They're certainly, in Michigan State's case, maybe on the other side of the bubble. But as we talked about earlier, a lot of opportunities to play their way back in the Big Ten.
Well, some of those, you know, Duke obviously on a run here. They get Louisville this weekend. And then Carolina the following week. North Carolina pounded Louisville the other day. They're starting to play better. And it's no surprise the freshmen on both of those rosters starting to become much more comfortable.
Osaboyan misses a pair, so TCU can cut it to 6, maybe 5. Todd tied up along the baseline, and the possession arrow favors West Virginia. Now look at here as McBride was clearly standing on the end line, Chris.
He was.
Deuce McBride guarded by Nembhard. We come up on 3 minutes to go in the second half. Culver on Samuel, well defended. Look at Sherman come up with it. Taz Sherman has been everywhere in this game.
He has. And he's looking like the guy that he did in that Kansas game before the Texas Tech game. You know, you're starting to see what Bob Huggins has been talking about. Taz Sherman, Sean McNeil, two guys that were both highly recruited. I mean, I think we lost that fact last year. Both those guys highly recruited.
Taryn Todd is fouled out of this game as West Virginia continues to struggle from the free throw line. Just 17 of 30 from the line in this game.
By the way, Kevin, one of those personal fouls on Taryn Todd was that technical foul that you can't pick those up.
Not against the number 10 team in the country, who's been playing so well, and Samuel tries to establish some room down low, draws the double team, and he's fouled. And that's number 4 on Osaboyan. So it sends Samuel to the free throw line, and to put it mildly, it's been an adventure when Samuel has been to the line. He does a lot of things well, but shoot free throws is not one of them, just 38% on the season. And he says, take that, Connors. Knocks down the first.
That.
And
everything comes back to the mean.
The air ball attempt on the second effort from Samuel, who's had a marvelous game. 20th career double-double tonight. 11 points, 10 rebounds. He's battled Derek Culver down low. And again, full court pressure picked up again by TCU. 15 to shoot it. McBride on what's been a quiet night for him. Gets it inside to Sherman. 5 to shoot. Sherman, why not? Off the mark. Good box out by Nembhard, and it'll be TCU ball.
That is West Virginia's best offensive lineup. And then Gabe Osabuoye going to come into the game now, which Bob Huggins has started to do. When you have a dead ball late in games, you can do that offense-defense sub. So now Culver out of the game, Osabuoye on the interior.
Corner 3 by Frank is off the mark.
And
5 minutes now. 5 minutes now, Chris, since West Virginia has gotten a field goal. I can't believe I'm going to ask this, but where do they go for offense?
Either McNeil, oh, what a good play. They love that X action. They use that pinch post, that foul line elbow area, and they run 2 guards off it in a really good back cut.
Deuce McBride, the leader of this team, and he steals it down. Under 90 seconds to go in Fort Worth. And the last couple of possessions very telling in this game.
Well, Bob Huggins going to that zone, that matchup zone that he went to in the second half against Texas. I thought that changed that game. Good time to pull it out here.
McBride working on the freshman Miles, and he uses the glass. McBride's up to double figures. The lead is 12. Three by Fuller goes down. And the lead is back to 9, but Chris, when they need it most, Deuce McBride has delivered.
Been the best closer in the Big 12 this year. Hasn't been his best game, but he's always great late in games. Here's this X action, the first shot. They run both these guards off, and you let Osabuoye be a passer again. Because Osabuoye's lifted, there's nobody in the interior. And then he is so good at this, getting to that right hand and then just tapping it off that glass for the finish, right in the mid-range. What a closer.
7 of McBride's 10 points have come in the second half. It's a game that's seen dynamite individual performances. Taz Sherman, 23 points. Derek Culver, 18 and 14 rebounds for West Virginia. And a double-double for Kevin Samuel as well. But Sherman leading all scorers with 23, Chris. He's delivered in a big way.
He really has. And, you know, it hasn't been all from that three-point line. That's where Taz Sherman and Sean McNeil are starting to expand their games. Not just three-point shooters. Off the dribble, in the mid-range, getting to the basket. His effort has been good tonight on the defensive end. What weapons Taz Sherman and Sean McNeil have become. What a night for Sherman.
And for a West Virginia team who again rallied from 19 down on Saturday to beat Texas, they stayed in the state of Texas knowing they'd have this game this week. They thought they would be playing Baylor on Thursday. That game has been canceled by the Big 12 in an effort to avoid teams having to play 3 games in consecutive weeks. So West Virginia 51 seconds away from another highly successful road trip where they have thrived on the road this season. 5 in a row in Big 12 play away from Morgantown. And a foul will send Deuce McBride to the line to shoot a pair. Deuce McBride. Back rim on the first one as we send it to Dallin.
Thanks, KC. If you're looking for Oklahoma, Kansas State, that is currently on ESPN News. When things wrap up down in Dallas, we will move that over to ESPN2. Back to KC and Chris for the culmination there.
Chris, I'm usually on the other side of that.
Yo, hey, you're a pro. You are. You are usually on the other side of that. It's good to have you on this side tonight here, though, brother.
I appreciate that. Miles tries a long three into the arms of Osaboyan. Well, West Virginia has won 118 of its last 131 games when holding opposing teams under 69 points, and they appear headed to do it again.
When TCU fought them, they're just outgunned. I mean, they're not as good as West Virginia, and West Virginia has more weapons. But every time you thought West Virginia was going to pull away, TCU had a response to keep it within that 10-point differential.
Well, there were certainly encouraging signs for Jamie Dixon's young basketball team here. But in the end, it's not enough to take down number 10 West Virginia. 6 consecutive road victories in Big 12 play, the first time since the late 1980s. 23 for Sherman, 18 and 14 for Culver, and West Virginia does it again. Once again, the final score, 74-66. We say farewell from Fort Worth. We send you now to Manhattan for Oklahoma and Kansas.